Hi, I'm Leslie, and I play Whisker, the Yosoki cyborg nanocyte.
Hi, I'm Pan, and I play Paul the Stranger, a precog.
I'm Richard, and I play NR5E, a sentient robotic operative.
I'm Kay, and I play Sol the Solarian.
I'm Mark. I play Koto Yoshitada, the Witch Warper and Soldier.
I'm Cooper. I play Pons, the Mystic Contemplative. And I'm Adam, your Galactic Manager. Welcome back to the Emergency Power Podcast, where we stand before the throne. This may be all in our heads, but what if reality is not what our minds interpret it to be? Maybe like in...
Uh-oh.
Oh, dear.
No, time will not afford the courtesy of patience. Face me now in the tomes of Emergency Power, Volume 3, Chapter 27.
Yes! No! That sounded like evil Uzi. I don't like it.
Whose voice
Don't
that was?
speak that evil into existence.
The cavernous halls consume all light as it stretches into the distance, shifting as it moves. Flashes of energy pock the area, and shards of groaning technology crack, break, and reform. In the center is a forest of candles that radiates from a technological throne. Rising is a feminine form draped in a red cloak, skin as dark as the void, with emerald eyes burning with the intensity of a star. Their gaze transfixed on Para. Everyone give me a will save.
We're back to these.
Boo.
No.
5E gets a respectable 16.
This is pretty respectable.
I have to ask, is this a fear effect?
It is.
Oh.
Paul's already very afraid, so an 11 makes sense.
That is a 27.
That is a 7.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Pons is not wearing the circlet, but he got a 26.
Real quick, would this happen to be an illusion spell or effect? I'm
Not
grasping
this
for
time.
every freaking straw I can.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Oh no! Oh no!
Does this effect normally only target humanoids?
In this case, as has been through the last episode and this one, this also affects robotic organisms.
Yeah, if you're talking about constructed, Richard, usually it applies unless it specifically says it targets robots.
Gotcha.
Koto got a respectable 8.
Oh, man.
What is wrong with you all? It's just a
8.
god.
Just take 85 damage.
Hey, Koto, single digit.
Yeah.
High five.
Hey, you weren't here last time.
As all of you look at this figure standing before the throne, a voice cuts in on the frozen moment. As promised, most ordained commander, the stranger. As the dervish speaks, sweeping their arms wide once again, as they did before Nerians, still staring at Para, the most ordained commander speaks.
So I behold and am pleased. Your word is carried through. Deal with the irrelevance as you see fit.
Irrelevance, that's just rude.
Oh, it's
Not a very
spiky
good
wildly.
hostess. I'm not impressed. I will not be attending her next soiree.
Oh,
1-star review.
1-star review. I'll put this on my Yelp.
I will be submitting a Google review.
Para, I failed to recognize you before, but the truth is now known.
and they shake their head a little bit.
Too much time has been lost. Come, Para, Driftwalker, stranger no more. Discard mortal attachments. For godhood awaits those of us worthy enough to reach for it.
And they slowly extend out one hand, which shifts and reforms with the ease of water.
Para?
Are we able to move?
Para?
Para's stock still. They're just constantly, their bodies spiking out in their fear response.
Yeah, can we
They're
move?
just watching this person like reach towards them.
At this moment, you are frozen in place.
Even to speak?
You can speak, but it will be a difficult task.
Understood. Do we need to make a save or check of some kind to speak at this point?
No, but I will say that Soul and Pawns both have an easier time than everyone else.
All right.
So, while Soul is coping with this well, player fear, is there any kind of perception history I need to roll to see if I potentially recognize the most ordained commander?
You'd know from like Para told you, I guess.
I will tell you right now that even without a roll, outside the information that you have gotten from your fellow comrades, you will know nothing.
Okay.
5e jacks his focal projector as high as he can to try to overcome this miasma of overwhelming power and pitches it toward Para.
Para, do not acquiesce to her request. It is a deception.
Soul is just going to stare at her and sneer a little and say, he doesn't need to be a god. They are our stranger.
Yeah, I think with all of their power and all of their might, Koto is trying desperately to break out of this and face the most ordained commander. But I don't think an 8's gonna do anything, so she will just sit there.
I think this is very fitting, because from the universe that you've spent most of your time recently, this is the god above gods. You had spoken before about not being sure about facing down the dervish because he was one of the, demigods. This one stands above them all.
Right. And it's a mixture of fear of wanting to try and meet this entity in combat, but also like crapping her pants at the same time.
Para, what do you do?
I think buoyed by our 5e and Soul's words, Para get their spiking under control and take a step back from this reaching out arm and say, I am not coming with you. I am with the second-hand crew. This is where I belong.
Yes.
Take your godhood and you can shove it.
Yes. Yes.
And they're not going to be able to do it, but Soul does their very damnedest to step between her and Para.
A best phrase comes to mind. Garuga Tol, from many one.
The expression of the most ordained commander does not change in the slightest. But you see the dervish raise their chin and they grin and say, well, I ain't above taking my prey secondhand. But the make-believe stops here and the dying starts.
Good, so die already.
As flame begins to rise from their wounds, creating these burning craters as their shirt and jacket incinerates. Heat from these flames begin to encompass the area, and the red eyes blare through this blaze and pierce into your souls as the monster strides towards you with all the terror of a true demon as we move
he's hot.
to the next map.
No one asked you to take your shirt off. Ugh.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he is not small. He large.
No small. Big.
I can't tell sizing on this map. It's
Right?
so
Yeah.
big.
It's so big. Kodo was big before. Did Kodo get shrunk back?
Yeah, I think it would have been enough time would have passed for her ability to stop, I think. So that's fine. It's only 3 rounds, 18 seconds. Yeah, she's small again.
The most ordained commander appears to be a medium-sized creature, but the energy around her is effectively gargantuan, a 5x5.
I didn't see the most ordained on the map until you said something. Oh my gosh, I'm
Excuse me,
scared.
a 6x6. So, yeah, that's still in gargantuan category, I think.
What is that? 30 feet by 30 feet?
Correct.
I need an adult.
900 square feet.
900 square feet.
That's a fun
oh
way
my
to.
God.
It's a fun way to calculate it.
I don't like that crackling, lightning electricity. None of this is okay.
Yeah, I like the artwork, but holy crap, am I scared? Oh
Adam
gosh.
just shared the artwork for how the dervish transformed.
Oh, no, he's an anime
the
transformation.
dervish is true
He
form.
looks.
Yeah.
If you, I just watched on Twitch. I just watched someone play Asura's Wrath.
Yes.
That's what that reminds me of.
Yes.
100%.
And if everyone would be so kind as to roll for initiative.
No
Again?
Oh, I'm happy to do so.
Oh yes, we've got more people in this map, i.e. Pawns has arrived
Oh, there's
on the scene.
Pawns.
Pawns
Hey,
was
Pawns.
arrived.
Enters
you
the
alive.
battle.
Wonderful.
Woohoo! Somewhat decent roll.
And what is that initiative?
I think Soul is leading the way with a 23.
Koto comes up next with a 19.
Whisker is third with a 13.
And Pawns got a little bit higher with a 12.
Consecutive numbers are our friends, so 5e brings up the rear with an 11.
Woohoo!
And Pan, before you tell me what you rolled, Para, you begin to feel your form shudder. And the power armor at your core begins to creak and grind with the motion. And your oblong head throws back, and the two green eyes you so often form scatter into a dozen points of light before they begin to glow, lines tracing between them like a radiant spider web, a symbol you all now know as the crest of Parallaxis.
Cool.
What?
Mantle.
That's cute.
As it's happening, Power starts to step forward, but then notices they are changing themselves. They feel the change like welling up from within them. And say, if it is godhood you seek, I will meet it with my own.
So, as all of you face down the dervish, you see Parallaxis taking over Para as they step forward towards the most ordained commander. They are going to be fighting each other while the rest of you face down the Grim Dervish.
Background kaiju fight?
This is
Background
amazing.
I'm into it.
This is amazing.
Listen, when Adam told me about this, I was like, holy shit, yes, I'm in. I'm super in.
All right, and Pan, you're going to be going first. Okay.
I need the Sephiroth theme song.
Da, 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 da.
Let's get back into it. Pan, go do the thing.
Yeah, so as the Muslim commander is reaching out, their arms melding water-like into shapes to try and grab Power, Power meets them with their own arms, or Parallaxis, I should say, reaching out, melding as well. It's like swords clashing, only the swords are like multiple limb parts, as they're effectively trying to hold them back from getting to the others as they deal with whatever they're doing behind them. They're going to try and just like stab into them, try and like beat off this onslaught of limbs and try and just get them through the chest. Like they did to them.
You're gonna do
Okay.
what to them?
Stab them in the chest.
No, that's. You said you're gonna beat them all.
Okay, all right. Okay.
This is a family podcast.
All right.
I didn't hear
All
that.
right.
My,
You know what?
yeah.
God damn it. You know what? Fine, yeah. I get out like my
Oh my God!
I'm cutting that off right now.
Oh, please do not leave that in.
Charisma,
man.
roll please.
Happy f***ing birthday, me.
So as you extend all of these different limbs out, the most ordained commander meets you in kind, and this forest of spikes explodes out from their arm that had been extended towards you, and you just have this anime-ass scene of all these spikes hitting each other. You see sparks reflecting off in all directions as you guys smash into each other with these forests and wall of spikes. Soul. Before you, you see the dervish. Around them, the air seems to be igniting as they step towards you. What do you do?
Sol is going to watch Para step forward and turn rather monstrous and just kind of look them up and down and nod approvingly. They're then going to redraw their sword and align to Photon and just very slowly, very calmly step forward 30 feet, and you just watch as once again these pulsing lights start to emanate from their one remaining mote, seeming to flash through their eyes and their tattoos. And the dervish is going to have to make a will save, please.
Ooh.
Interesting. Okay.
It's not going to work, but I'm going to try. I got nothing else to do this round.
That is a 29.
Ooh.
Not surprising, he's going to pass it. And Sol will hold out their sword, turn sideways, and just wait. That's going to be their turn.
Okay. So you take a step forward and you use this ability, which you're not sure if it's just the inherent anger and rage of what's happening, but they just seem unaffected as they move straight towards you. And if you would be so kind as to give me a fortitude save,
Fortitude?
as the burning aura that surrounds them attempts to ignite you.
Well, that's only a 13, but I do have 5 fire resistance.
Okay. So with a 13, you ignite as you walk in, and you are on fire.
That is a lot of radius.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's got like
Yep.
this 15-foot aura around
Does
him.
my being aligned to Photon negate any of it? I am
Does
a
it give you fire
tiefling.
resistance?
I am. I'm just wheeling and dealing.
So basically, you have the burning condition.
Yes.
You have the burning condition, yes. When you take fire damage on your turn, your fire resistance will assist you.
Because I just have to wheel and deal any way I can.
Absolutely. Does a 29 KAC hit you?
It does, as in fact, hit me.
So they stride straight forward, and with just one fist up in the air, they come down and bring it from above right onto you for 32 damage.
That's bludgeoning, I assume?
Correct.
Then I have resistance to that as well, thank you.
That is fine, just fine.
Sol will just grin up at him and say, "Did you know you f***ed up with me? It didn't work."
And they smile. Oh, don't worry. We're only just starting this dance. Koto, you're up.
All right, so Koto, now able to move, looks at the battle going on between the most ordained commander and Parallaxis. She then turns and meets the eyes of the dervish, and she points directly at him and says, You and the rest of the Silan, you have conquered entire star systems. We are forced to retreat at every opportunity. The people I am with today have proven in such a small amount of time that they are ones who can change the fate of this universe. I've never had an opportunity to deal a blow to you like I do now. The line will be drawn here, no further, and I will make you pay for what you have done. She then summons her energy lash, kind of like slaps it onto the ground and says, Come, let's go. And then uses her other move action to
I'm sorry,
run in.
did you say something?
Oh God, I hate all of you.
The audacity. The audacity.
The audacity. She then runs headfirst into the aura right over here.
Go ahead and give me a fortitude save.
Absolutely. That's a 14.
As you two burst into flames.
Oh, goodness.
Friendly reminder to everyone, give me 15 feet next turn, please, if you are able.
I'm gonna stay away.
Smart.
Okay, was that everything, Mark?
It's everything. Yep.
So as The two of you begin to engage with the dervish back behind near this throne of technology. The clashing between these two god figures has continued. Parallaxis, for a moment, you two are engaging with these two forests of spikes, and then suddenly there is no resistance as your arm swings free, and then in an instant, from below you, 1,000 different spikes come from the ground, piercing up towards you.
No!
Parallax at that point shrinks everything back in to avoid like these spikes that are aiming for their larger body mass. Everything else they were putting out shrinks into like almost a compacted ball, and then spikes out again, pushing back the wave of spikes coming out from underneath. It's not a full dodge; they get caught a couple of times, but it's enough to reform themselves, and then they're going to just try and charge at the most ordained commander. I think as they do, they're going to. Yeah, is this okay to use? I don't know. It's a modification on one of the spells, which is mirror image.
Do it.
Ooh.
Cool. As they reform and charge towards most ordained commander, you see almost like an after image starts to appear, and they just start like wailing on this figure. But as they're doing it, you see that the after image is copying them, almost like they're using time to batter them double and then triple and then quadruple amounts of times, just hammering down fists, arms, tentacles, whatever they can on the most ordained commander.
Okay. Whisker, you're up.
Whisker, still wielding the Gossamer Voidflyer wings, shoots off to the east, around to the side of the dervish, outside of the range of their burning aura. And as they do, they're going to take a shot with the nanite sheath. Thrown weapon property. Oh, you love to see it. That's a 33 against KAC.
Nice.
Very
Beautiful.
nice.
Very nice.
And I'm feeling piercing for this shot, so you're going to take 33 piercing damage.
Dodge to the side, and this spike just shoots straight through, stabbing the dervish in their impeccable pecs.
Now they're just peckable.
Another.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pawns.
Alrighty. So Pawns, he definitely doesn't want to get close to the dervish right now with the aura around him, and is immediately going to scurry over behind these stalactites that are forming up out of the ground near
Mites.
in our 5e. Stalagmites.
Tights have to hold on tight to the ceiling.
Thank you. I wasn't
and
sure.
mites mightily rise up from the ground.
That's a really good way to remember that.
Are you sure
Oh,
they
is that how
don't
you do
mightily
it?
hang on from the ceiling?
No, they have to hang on tight from the
They
ceiling.
might fall on you.
Yeah, they might fall, right? That's like might.
Quit ruining my perfect.
No, that was
memory
like,
tool.
honestly, yeah, like that was a really good way to remember that.
All right. So yeah, Pawns is going to see the flame aura being emanated from the dervish and immediately take cover over by NR 5e behind the what are they called?
Might.
Behind the stalagmites, and peeking over them is going to shoot off a mind thrust. So go ahead and make a will save, please.
Oh, get wrecked. Do it.
19.
That, I think, actually just passes.
Oh.
Wow.
That is too bad. Yeah,
Whoa.
very close, though. That's okay. Just
You
gonna still take
dervish.
some damage. Sorry, finding it. Oh, and that was a super low roll for the damage. He's only gonna take, I think, 6. Yeah,
Oh.
6.
Ooh.
Yeah.
6 is better
okay.
than none, so well done.
Yeah, and I have some coverage,
Yeah,
so that's
more
good for
damage
Pawns.
than I did.
Same.
NR 5e.
In our 5e's combat heuristic overlay HUD is a whirring array of formulas and numbers. In the left-hand periphery of his ocular sensors is the forms of Parallaxis and the Most Ordained Commander, with equations overlapping them, incredibly complex equations that all end up with a result of undefined, 2 figures that divide by 0. So he discards them, knowing that he can have no effect on that part of the equation. In the right hand of his periphery is a temperature marking that is somewhere in the high triple digits of centigrade and climbing, and he knows from past experience, his heuristics tell him, that it is highly unlikely he will be able to outsmart this enemy. The only way to defeat the dervish is overwhelming force. 5e levels his semi-automatic pistol at the dervish with a clean shot through the flame-charged air and delivers a triple attack.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Triple attack.
So my attack rolls against KAC are a 13, a 23, and a 15.
Ooh.
Yes, KAC.
Yeah.
So you pull up your pistol, level it towards the dervish, fire off 3 times, and you see as the bullets approach, they melt before they even get to him.
Oh, Pons has a lightning pistol.
Yeah.
Recalculating.
You might need to borrow that there.
I think it was just AC too low. That was flavor.
I think it's just a really cool way of describing that I
Yeah.
missed a lot.
That's very possible too. I was hoping the 23
great
would
way.
hit.
Yeah,
No,
me too.
I think
But
it's going to
no.
be closer to 25 and up.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Oh my god.
Who said the dervish could be a tank?
So Parallaxis throws all of these attacks, full on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, towards the most ordained commander. And as you do that, instead of bothering to block it, the punches that are thrown slow down in time to the point that by the time they connect, they do nothing to them.
Woohoo!
What? No, that's bad.
Oh, what? I'm sorry. I was like,
Koto's a traitor.
Get her.
And they stick their hand out and put it on Parallaxis's chest as a wave of force emanates from it, cascading Parallaxis backwards.
Parallax like tumbles backwards. To anyone above, it's that kind of slow motion kaiju look as they tumble backwards into one of the spiky rocks. But being that close to these rocks and feeling the intense heat of the dervish at their back, they recall a trick that Para would often use. They steady themselves, standing up to their huge height, and their back opens up in a swirl of lashing back tentacles that meld together into this pair of massive, beetle-looking wing things.
Oh my god.
As they begin to absorb as much heat as they can to do a much bigger version of Para's usual overheat spell.
So
this is amazing.
The dots of eyes that they have coalesce into one huge green orb in the front of their face as they blast the Motion Commander with just this incredible ray of heat.
Yeah.
But even over the dervish, you guys can all feel waving from the side.
Whoa. Yeah. That's what map effects. That are just awesome.
Yeah, the Foundry map has been updated with what was just described. It was great. It's great.
It's very sick.
It is a
Yeah, there's
DBZ
this
power
spiky
up aura.
Yeah, just
I drew a Super Saiyan power up over Para.
I love it so much.
Para gets blonde hair out of nowhere.
Right?
Soul, you're up.
Right. Soul is going to carefully step just 15 feet off to the side. So they are still squared down with the dervish. And they just, ever since Ethel and Asa appeared, they've been much more muted. And a little bit of that smartassery has come back in this new space and seeing this threat to Para. It's still far less than it has been, and they simply look up at the dervish, still grinning, and say, "You did your worst, and it was cute. You see, you can kill them if you want. I don't think you can. But killing them would only end my suffering. Because there is nothing that you could do to me which is worse than what I have done to myself. And that is living with the knowledge that they are living a full, beautiful, and happy life without me."
Oh.
And they will reach up and catch that little silver blue mote and pull it down towards their chest in a very baby howl catching the falling star. And an explosion of silver white energy ripples out around them. And the dervish is going to need to make a reflex save as they go supernova again.
Wonderful.
Oh my god!
How does a 23 do you?
Come on.
That is going to save, however, he's still going to take quite a lot of damage. That is 33 points of fire damage, which will be halved because he saved, and then reduced by his fire resistance.
Do hope he takes some damage still from that.
And as this explosion goes off, once again, kind of like when Sol drew this sword, you see those glimmers of all these other people. And as it starts to fade, you see Sol kind of standing there stunned because the power of this moat does not come from them. It comes from everyone else. And as this realization of all of these connections and bonds and caring that they have had and have rejected or ignored at best and scoffed at worst washes over them, they can't deny the power of all these things that they have denied themselves out of fear of rejection, being rejected again. And as this light fades, you see them standing there looking fairly stunned just for a moment, as the gold bleeds out of their eyes, hair, and tattoos. And you see them now gray, black, and silver standing before the dervish. And that's their turn.
Yo.
Very good.
That was really touching, which is going to make it all the worse as I move on to the dervish's turn.
I also have to take burning damage.
Correct.
I believe you get a save as well every
At the end
turn
of your
if
turn.
this is yeah.
Go ahead and for this particular burning damage, roll a 1d8, and then you can roll your save.
That is 6 points of fire damage, of which I am resistant to 5.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and go ahead and make your save.
Fortitude, correct?
Reflex for burning. At the end of each round you are burning, you can attempt a reflex save. DC is 10 plus the fire damage you took.
Oh, 10 plus that?
So 11.
11? Okay. I would have preferred fortitude, but that's okay. That's okay. That's a 17!
Nice.
Okay. You are, for this moment, no longer on fire.
Yay!
Literally and figuratively, because I'm no longer attuned.
I was expecting Adam to say that we can't put out the fire while we're in the aura.
That's what I'm assuming too.
I'm going to have to do the save again to see if I catch on fire again, but such is the life.
That's how it's going to work
Such the life
out.
of the melee class.
So as you explode and the golden tips turn silver, all of that flame seems to swirl around into the aura that is already there. And they look down at you and say, "What makes you think I've done my worst? I've only been playing." And does a 31 hit you?
Magically, no. Yes, Adam, it hits me.
Surprising.
Why would you ask that? Why would you even ask that question?
You have to ask, right? You gotta
You've got to ask.
If a 20-something hit me last time,
Yeah.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Does that hit your KAC plus 8?
it does.
Ooh.
Things just got serious.
This is bad. This is real bad.
So as you stand there defiantly, they reach down with one hand because they are so much larger than you, pick you up, and they are going to, with you in hand, charge over to one of the spikes and slam you down on it.
I would just like to say he's gonna take 2 points of electricity damage.
Woohoo!
Take
Oh,
that.
I'm sure
Yes.
he's super bothered by it.
Yes.
I'm gonna do every little bit I can.
It's like picking up a prickly leaf.
Does that mean no? Kodo's too far out to get an opportunity attack.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You've suddenly
unfortunately.
become Scrappy Doo in this fight.
I am Brandon round 2.
Puppy power.
This does track because Sol is just a little overwhelmed with feels, and they're really not used to feels.
So they pick you up and charge over to the very spike that Pawns and 5e happen to be nearby, lift you up, and skewer you on the spike
Oh no!
for 50 piercing damage.
But I wanted bludgeoning. Ooh, well, I'm back into hit points.
Oh no.
Quick, blunt all the rocks.
Pawns the healing bot
Don't
is
worry, I'll use
Not-
this tiefling's body to do it.
not ready.
All right, and you will have to deal with the fact that you are literally impaled on the next turn.
Gosh.
You know, that would have been
So you're
much
pinned.
easier to deal with if I still had my gravity powers.
Wouldn't it, though?
And if 5e and Pawns would please give me a fortitude save.
Of course.
Fortitude 21.
21 as well.
Nicely
Both
done.
of you save against this fiery
yeah.
aura.
Lucky.
All right.
Oof.
We didn't start the.
Koto, you just saw Soul lifted into the air and slammed down on a spike. What do you do?
So I was going to do something to set up for something better, but thankfully you've set that up for me. So thank you, Dervish.
You've fallen right into my trap.
Yugi boy. Okay, so
You've activated my trap card.
So, real quick rules question regarding overdrive. Am I able to spend an overdrive point to change the type of energy damage that a spell would do?
In this particular circumstance, I will allow it.
Okay, wonderful. So, Koto sees Soul literally get impaled and has like quick little like flashes back to seeing friends in the previous universe that she's from go through similar things. And she just screams out, "Soul, no!" And then with her wings still on fire, because she does have the burning condition, I will roll the damage for that. It's a 1d8.
Yes.
3 points of fire damage. Her wings like catching on fire. She like flaps them out real quickly and then runs over to the east 25 feet. She then begins conjuring up this rainbow energy in between her hands, like kind of swirling hand motions, making this giant ball of just exploding, cackling rainbow energy. And she says, "Not today, Dervish!" And then throws the energy out, casting explosive blast, but then uses an overdrive resolve point to change the fire energy to cold damage.
Awesome
I
sauce.
love it.
And so I need the Dervish to make a reflex save while I roll damage.
That's a 14.
That is a failure.
Yeah.
So you take 38 points of cold damage. And I will drop 1 resolve point.
Not today, Satan.
However, I do have to make a reflex save to end the burning condition, but it's only a 13, so I'm hoping I can get it.
Come on, Koto.
It's a failure. I'm still burning. The good news is that you can attempt a new saving throw each round you have the condition, and you receive a +2 bonus for each previous saving throw you've attempted in consecutive
Ooh.
rounds. That's my last level 3 spell. Wait. No, it wasn't.
But wait, there's more.
I'm tracking my spells through like Hephaestus and Foundry, and the way that Foundry does it is like I'm not used to it yet. So I actually have 1 more spell. Woohoo!
Nice.
But I'm not going to be able to do any more resolve points.
Sure you can.
Yeah. That's why I'm really nervous. If Soul gets 1 more hit, I can use 1 more massive heal, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
I have a couple weak spells, which would be like 10 HP. I lied. I have 0 weak spells.
Now's the time to burn them.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Do we have health serums?
No, I should. What happened?
I have
Healing serums aren't
several,
really
but-
worth it in combat, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
They
Unless
take
it's
so
like-
many actions and
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
heal that much.
A whole turn to heal like 7 damage.
Oof, okay, so just to get a visual of the battlefield, as it were, we've got 5e, Pons, and Soul, who's stuck in the Dervish's fire aura, and we got Koto and Whisker. You guys are okay?
So far.
Yeah, we're all doing
I
good.
mean, no one's ever really okay when the dervish is around.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay.
Just burning to death over here.
Yeah, just hanging around a bonfire, basically. Gonna have some s'mores later.
I'm rather used to being pierced.
Are you?
I know that was supposed to be like a piercings, like I have piercings joke, but that's not.
no,
okay.
that's not what
Not
that
at
joke
all.
was. There were many layers to
I'm
that
trying to do a generous read, Kay.
one. No. Soul is a slut. How is this not clear?
Oh, man.
Do your thing, Pan.
Right, cool. Seeing that like these punches have been fairly effectual, they're just gonna keep pouring on this beam. Their chest starts to open up as well, and even as they're pouring on energy from this beam coming out of their face hole, and just a massive spike is gonna come right out of the chest, like towards the most of the commander. It's basically Time's Edge, but it looks like a huge green sword. Just like stabbing downwards.
Really cool spell.
So anyways, I just start stabbing.
So you let loose this giant cascade of fire that flies straight towards the most ordained commander. And as they flick out their cape, this massive amount of ice comes out and meets it right in the middle. And you leap over this giant explosion of steam, driving straight towards them with this time knife. And they look up at you, and as you close in, they grab it with 2 fingers right before it hits them.
Oh, that's nasty.
The disrespect.
And they lean in and say,
The Drift Nexus deserves better than a miserly beast like you, obsessed with control. It deserves better than Triune. It deserves a new god above all.
as they snap the blade.
Yeah, I think that's at that point, the myriad of eyes that are the symbol of parallaxis converge back to Para's eyes, and they're wide, and all of this massive body they've got, small bristles start to show as the Moslem commander just absolutely bodies them.
Whisker, you're up.
Okay. So Koto got to do a overdrive, and I also would like to do an overdrive for my turn.
Tell me about it.
Normally, I can only change the items in my gear array when I level up. I would like to spend an overdrive to change one now.
Okay, I will let you temporarily do that. It will not be permanent.
How long? Like the round?
Through this fight.
Through the fight. Perfect. More than I need. So Whisker retracts the nanites that are making up the solar wings, and they reform into a long arm as I construct a algid freeze ray.
Yes.
Ooh.
And I'm going to fire it at the
cold in
dervish
here.
as soon as I
I
add
don't
it to
even
my
right
character
now.
sheet.
I can't even.
Sorry, I'm just here like air punching. I'm so happy.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm like, do I look up the freezer? It sounds sick.
So it is a long arm that does cold damage in a line.
Oh gosh.
Cool.
Yes.
I don't need the line.
Mr. Freeze over here.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm mixed freeze right now.
Chill.
Not Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, not the army, Mr. Freeze.
He's grown cold to your arguments.
Okay, and
best
here
Mr.
comes
Freeze.
the attack.
I've gone from Bane to Mr. Freeze.
We're just hitting the rogues gallery here.
It's going to be
Are.
the dervish's brother. It'll be great. Same voice and everything.
Oh, that's only an 18 against EAC.
All right, so you shoot this line of ice, and as it hits the aura, it just begins to melt more and more as it gets closer until there's just this little sprinkle of water that hits them as it gets there.
Dang it.
This f***ing
Bad
guy.
roll.
Refreshing.
I'm not feeling good, guys.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
That's gonna be on his tombstone.
Pawns, you're on fire and you're up.
No, I'm not on
Well,
fire.
I take that back. Pawns,
It's real
you're
hot in
not
here.
on fire and you're up.
So Pons is honestly pretty new to getting pulled into this other area / world, so he's not entirely sure what's going on. Is there a check I can make to figure out, is the dervish actually here? Is he in some sort of corporeal, or is it incorporeal form?
Some 4D thinking over there, Pawns.
Specify a little more so I can
Yeah.
answer properly.
I want to know if this seems like more of a dreamscape, or if it is our actual bodies and the
Gotcha.
dervish's actual body particularly.
Okay. So judging by the fight that only you got to participate in, they seem to have another body that is nothing like this one. So you can deduce that this is probably a dreamscape and that this is not a real body.
All right, perfect. So that being said, I'm going to try something. Pons is still holding that circlet, mind circlet in hand. And Pons is going to once again Looney Tunes down a portal down below him, but this time he's going to open it on the other side right above the dervish. and I want to see if I can't manage to get it onto his head.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I love that Soul is bent backwards over a stalagmite, literally piercing through their torso, staring at Pawns as Pawns just zoop underground, Looney Tunes style.
Don't worry, we'll get to you later.
Soul's like, that tracks.
So the problem I see with this is that you're putting it on the head of the character in the head, right? This isn't...
Correct. Yes,
you're not
but
putting it on his real body.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what will happen here. Either way, he'll take damage, so I'm happy with that.
Okay. Go ahead and put yourself wherever you're moving.
I just love that Soul is impaled on this like stalagmite, and they're just like, I didn't hear no bell.
I'm not done yet.
Your arm's off.
Just for the flesh wound.
10 feet in the air above him is where the portal comes out, and I fall to him.
Come back here,
give you-
bite your knees off.
Bite your legs off.
That's such a huge freaking radius as well.
Yeah. It's not fun.
Can make a reflex save to see if he saves from the damage.
25.
Okay, so it takes 10 bludgeoning damage still.
Okay.
And then with my move action, I want to basically land on his shoulders and try to crown him. Just to see what happens.
The most aggressive crowning in history.
Yeah.
You're trying to dunk on him.
Okay.
Seriously.
He's trying to dunk on him.
With those
Nobody's
tiny
born.
little contemplative arms.
I feel like I'm trying to ruin all your plans here, Adam. Sorry.
Yeah. Was the portal a movement or a
No.
action?
Just a spell. I literally just took
So
where
an
I was
action?
currently and then just went right above him. Yes. So I still have a movement action.
It's not going to take an action to put the thing on his head?
That's kind of what I'm debating. I feel like it
Yeah.
needs to be.
I think that's a touch attack.
Yeah, good point, Richard. Sounds like touch attack territory.
So I will wait until your next turn comes around for that.
Although by then he'll have moved. So,
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. So we'll see what happens.
okay. All right. That's fair enough.
I just picture Pawns holding the crown, holding the circlet, dropping through a hole in the ground with a staple gun in hand.
Just cartoon drop noise as his little tiny digits let go of it and he flies away.
It'd be way cooler if I could just take an object and send it through the portal at him.
Right.
But I have to be attached to it.
No, sorry, you need an aperture science portal gun for that.
Oh. I'll work on that.
NR5E.
NR5E's calculations are in overdrive. His sensors are getting very, very hot. He can't dedicate any more effort to cooling them off in the radius of the dervish's high-intensity heat. And knowledge about the drift just keeps passing through his circuits almost involuntarily. Everything he's learned about it, from Scriff, from Captain Esba, from Cat, from Whisker now. He's trying to think of a way to affect this situation and turn the tide, and the only thing he can think to do is to revert to his core programming. He begins a trick attack sequence, moving to the opposite side of the dervish.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and do an op attack on that.
I think we got
You
a
cannot.
flanking. Oh,
You do not
attack.
get op attacks against my trick attack movement.
Woohoo!
I've designated him as my target.
Oh, let's go.
I believe that's technically a flank too, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
I'm
I don't
impaled,
know
but
how
I still have
threatening
my
Soul is
sword.
at the moment.
I still have it.
Just waving it in the air.
Get you.
I'll bite your legs off.
Yeah.
You daft f***er, your arm's come off. No, it hasn't. Still got a tail.
5e gets a 31 sense motive for the trick attack. And I know the DC is what, 20 plus
That would be
DC?
for CR 11
Yeah, CR
or
11
lower.
or better.
That works.
Okay. Then I'm rolling trick attack damage, and he is flat-footed until the beginning of my next turn.
Oh, I'm so impaled.
No op attacks.
I'm gonna hit him so hard.
26 KAC.
Flat-footed.
And that will hit.
Yeah.
Then 5, he rolls into position on the opposite side of the dervish, pistol in hand, and fires a shot directly into his back, and as he does so, says, "Must eliminate target."
Yes.
Are the LEDs red?
Yeah, and actually they changed to the same color of all the colors that are bursting off around the Most Ordained Commander. There's some sort of weird resonant feedback happening because they're in this alternate reality, and his programming is weirdly adapting to it in some way. The dervish takes 31 piercing damage.
Wow. Nice.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Parallaxis is up.
Parallaxis is now face to face with the Muslim commander. The eyes, which were huge, and Para's eyes, showing fear and disbelief for a moment, reform back into the multitude of eyes, showing that Parallaxis is in control at this point. And they get reckless and start pouring everything they have into the Muslim commander. It's a real now and then moment. They use the same mirror image abilities before to repeat themselves through time, as the commander is surrounded with 3 versions of Parallaxis, all blasting her with this massive jolt of green energy in tandem with each other. Like, you can hear in the back, and you're like, boom, 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 as it's constantly like battering on her. I like to imagine, like, in that typical anime style, like the ground beneath them starts to crater with the force of the energy being piled into them.
I love it.
The mirror image effect on the token on the map is incredible.
Amazing foundry effects, bravo.
Yeah,
That's
looks
really
so
nice.
good.
That's really
So
nice.
cool.
We need an animated GIF of this.
Yes.
So you unleash these beams from your eyes. These 3 different versions of Parallaxis shooting lasers at the Most Ordained Commander from different directions. And the first set of beams, they step forward and match you in kind with their own lasers that meet halfway. And of course, it's going back and forth. How could it not? And the others, she's pulling up parts of the ship that are moving into the way, and they keep getting destroyed, but like a continuous wave, they just flow into the way of these lasers. Soul, you're up.
I assume we start with a fortitude save?
Yes, please. And that reminds me, thank you very much for saying that, because both Pawns and 5e need to do the same.
Thank you. Sorry, a lot of elements going on here. Not trying to cheat on that.
What are you talking about? I make really simple, easy combats everyone can understand.
I'm just happy that you're able to track it. Nat 1. I am on the frick fire.
Oh, wait, really?
Yep. Being on fire is not that bad. Don't waste the
Yeah.
Parallaxis power on that.
Okay.
Okay, how about Pawns?
Yeah, I rolled it already. I failed. I'm also on fire.
Okay, and Soul?
That's a 17.
Okay, that will save.
Brilliant.
All right, so Soul, you are pinned on this spike. What do you do about that? What can you do about that?
Soul kind of is grabbed, is carried quite a distance, slammed down onto the spike. They were preparing to be hit very hard and don't feel the bludgeoning happening. And they don't feel the pain at first. They kind of lift their head and they look down and they see the point of the stalagmite coming out of them. And they're like, oh. And that's when the pain starts to hit. And you watch their head kind of drop back a moment, like, this is fine. This makes sense.
So nonplussed.
Like, there's almost like a surrender to it, because of course this is how they're going to go out. But then they hear Koto scream their name, and they kind of blearily lift their head and blink. And beyond them, they see Para going one-on-one with the Most Ordained Commander in just the most incredible way. And they grit their teeth, align back to Photon, and they're going to reach one hand behind them onto the spike and the other hand at the very tip and just try to reach one foot back and just leverage themselves up off of this.
Oh, okay. Give me a fortitude save as you do that. Because as incredible as that is an intense amount of pain.
Would my toughness feat come into play here?
Oh, hell yes.
Brilliant. I will take it. That is another 17.
So they're just grabbing one hand at a time, pulling themselves up off of this stalagmite, and they pull themselves all the way up and just fall over off of it onto the ground.
What a bad.
They
Right?
like hit and cough, and you just watch blood splatter from their lips.
Oh, so cool.
Can I use my graft to stand again as a swift action?
Ooh. Tell me about the graft real quick.
My balanced graph, I get a +2 enhancement, bonuses to my AC against trip maneuvers, and it allows you to stand from prone as a swift action.
You know it.
Right, they will swift action. It is not as flashy as they would like. They try very hard to make it look cool, but they're actually mostly just leaning against this stalagmite.
Disempaling yourself can't look too cool.
Yeah, leaving a bloody smear as they do. Sword out. I don't think there's anything more I can do, Adam. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I'm gonna have to agree with that one.
I think more for flavor than anything else, I think they are digging in one of those very poofy pockets to try and find their Mark II healing potion to at least get a hand on it for when they need it, because clearly, and they will cough once more and squint across at Koto, who is very far away. They probably don't even see her, but they're just grinning and say, I didn't know you cared. And that will be their turn.
All right. So Soul pulls themselves back to their feet, and they look like one of those boxers that has been knocked down like 8 times in the fight, and they just keep getting back up. The dervish gives you just like a little bit of an acknowledging nod. You can barely see it, but it's there. And then they turn back around to NR5E.
Fight me, you
NR5E, does a 34 beat your KAC plus 8?
KAC plus 8? No. It would hit me as an attack, but it's not KAC plus 8.
Really?
Wait, hang on. 34? Yeah, it does. I'm sorry.
It does, just barely.
I'm wrong. It does.
Look who's next on the spike. It's your turn on the spike now.
Oh gosh, no.
Who's up on the chopping
There's so
block?
many spikes around.
I'm Crazy Eddie. I put babies on spikes.
He was trying to make a shish kebab.
There, I see. Oh,
Just
no.
one at a time, just boom, boom, boom.
Mom says it's my turn on the spike.
Oh God.
So this is a full round action. They reach down, and with one hand they grab you by the legs. And with the other hand, they grab you by the face and upper torso.
Mm-hmm.
And they lift you up above their head, Bane style. And they look up and say hello to the Kurdans for me, as they rip NR5E in half.
Ah! No. What? Wait, that's illegal.
And they throw the pieces down to the ground
God.
on either
I think
side
that
of
voids the
them.
warranty.
The pieces spark.
No?
Koto.
But, wait, did it did damage? Presumably?
I'm assuming it went all the way through his stamina and HP.
Are you just
Well, he
dead?
had no stamina.
Yeah, he only had 60 health there.
Koto, you have seen NR5E torn in half and cast aside. What do you do?
Seeing what just transpired to another teammate, Koto has tears kind of falling from her eyes and just says, "No, not like this." And she begins conjuring the same energy she did before. And like we all said, this is not the time to be stingy on it. She's got very few resolve points left, but if she can use them to try and stop the dervish, that's what she's going to do. So with gritted teeth and tears falling down her cheek, she begins spending an overdrive point and casts her third level spell and goes for another explosive blast with cold energy. I need the dervish to make a reflex save. How the hell do you expect me to go take my turn after something like that? Holy crap.
Jesus.
Go on. Oh god. Okay. Here we go.
That is a 23.
All right, so the dervish saves. So they take half damage. So you would take 14 points of cold damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now is not the time to save Adam.
Yeah. And Koto, oh no. Okay, that's, so she also has a move action left. Man.
Get back, get away.
Yeah, I think, for her move action, she's just going to take a total, is the total defense a standard or move action?
You're fighting defensively, or?
No,
Yeah, there's fighting defensively and total defense. And
I think that might be a standard.
think it's
fight
a full
defensively
round.
is the full action.
Okay.
Okay.
Total defense. is a standard action.
Okay, yeah, so she can't do that.
Okay.
Then she'll spend her move action and go to Whisker and say, we need to rally and give it everything we can. We can't lose them.
Okay, and then at the end of your turn, if you would please take fire damage and give me a save.
Sorry about that. She takes 4 fire damage. Now she also gets a +2 to this reflex save because this is her second consecutive one.
Correct.
That's a 17, so she is no longer on fire.
That saves.
Okay, that's the end of her turn.
Okay.
As Parallaxis is pouring on the assault, the galaxy of green eyes starts to swarm and reform towards the Para. Even as like the Parallaxis and the Mermaids are still like pouring it on, and they're starting to like slowly seem to be getting the upper hand. Maybe the Muslim commander is just starting to get confused, or they're paying attention to something else, or whatever it is. It seems to be working, but Para's eyes swivel back. These two large insectile eyes that you guys remember and recognize, and they see 5e in parts. They see their friends battling this giant demon of a man, and they start to step away. And in their head, they can hear Parallaxis like demanding, like, we have her. What are you doing? But Para reaches out like this huge, like oily black claw they have, and they say, "I am not your puppet. I will not sacrifice my friends for victory." And I'd like to use, I don't know how many overdrive points I need to use to turn back that whole scenario.
Oh.
I'll just start taking them out of your total.
Yeah, okay.
If I could turn back time.
Like if it means that the most commander gets a hit on Para in the back, that's fine. But Para's not going to let 5e die. They're not going to let friends die. That's what's up.
Okay. So you step away from the assault against the most ordained commander, and you reach your 2 oily hands out as you pull back time in this place, and the burning parts of NR5E begin to slowly drag back through the technological landscape. And as they do that quicker and quicker, they begin to move until, in a flash, back up where they were being held by the dervish, the pieces come back together and reform as if they had never been broken. Going so far as to put NR5E back on the ground right where they had started.
Amazing.
Oh, yes.
And in that moment, the most ordained commander makes their move. Coming straight up next to Parallaxis, they take one of their arms and drive it into their side as multiple tendrils come out and begin to fuse and form against Parallaxis. And you see their head reels back once again as the eyes begin to blink between Parallaxis and Para. And then they let go and drop them to the ground and look down over their now defeated opponent and say,
I will end this pointless engagement. Your host, O miserly lord of time, is deteriorating, and your cause will find itself lost.
And it is quite clear that they speak the truth. As Para's form seems to be fluctuating wildly, you can see the frame underneath coming through in bits and pieces as the most ordained commander doesn't even look out of breath.
Perhaps you care not for the being Para, but I am not so short-sighted. For his sake, I will relent.
And then their eyes glow green once more.
Brother, when your mind is once again freed, think on this. For you, a throne waits alongside mine, and once in it, you too are liberated.
Over in
Oh my god.
the pile of fighting that's happening within this flaming hellscape. NR5E reforms directly in front of the dervish once more, and they're looking between where they had thrown parts of you and where you are now. And you see this unhinged rage just come into their expression as they reach out and put a hand on you once more and grab you and begin to try to crush. And they say, "You know what? Y'all been saying you're a threat and that this ain't no game. And you're right. More the fool me for not believing it. I've been playing with you all like toys, but that ends now." And there's this crazed intensity in their eyes. "You have proved yourself. You have proved that you deserve to be taken seriously." And then this malice, this malicious smile spreads, blood covering their face. "Now you get to find out what it means to be my enemy. I will rip away everything from every one of you. And I'm gonna start with that ship of yours. So I hope you haven't left anything important on board." And you see, as their eyes roll back into their head and the body there begins to dissipate, and then the entire area surrounding you begins to fall apart, one piece at a time, as you feel your consciousness dragged away from this surreal mindscape. The world begins to reconnect and reform around you as you see Nerian's lab once more. Nerian still floating within the chamber. And as you begin to come back to your senses, there's a movement in the room. A red blur that dashes towards the door and out into the main room.
Holy sh!
What is even happening?
Is Para okay?
I know.
As they pass towards the front door, you hear from the other room a deep that tears through the room, and you see the dervish plow into the wall as blood splatters against the pristine windows, and there's the sound of a pump-action shotgun from the other room as a few more shots ring out, hitting the dervish's body repeatedly.
Mr. Business?
As you see Mr. Business step out from around the corner.
What?
And they stand over the dervish's body and drop the shotgun at their feet.
Oh my god.
Kill Stealer, though.
Right?
Not complaining right now.
I wanted to kill him.
Right?
Oh my goodness, Para.
As Mr. Business begins to walk towards the rest of you, you see that Para is in fact here, laying on the ground. They do not appear to be as horribly destroyed as they were when they came back through the portal. However, they look very poorly.
How
Where are they? Where are they?
how do the rest of it, like, do I have am I just low on hit, or do I have an actual, like, gaping wound in my torso?
So, the way this mindscape worked out, essentially your mind helped create what was happening, and that has an effect on your body. So, while there is no actual giant gaping hole, your internal organs are all mixed up, and whatever damage you had suffered in there, you retain.
Soul, closest to the door. I assume, is the dervish, like, right behind Koto and I? Like...
They are, in fact, on the map.
Koto's here. Para's here.
Oh,
Right
he's
down-
all the
right
way
down
over
for him.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. I messed up because he's small.
Oh, there he is.
Whisker snaps up at hearing the shotgun and runs over, says, "Why do I never get to kill him?"
Soul is going to pop up, shout, Para? Sees that Para is not as bad, and will immediately spin on Mr. Business since he's just 5 feet from Soul through this door. And be like, do you know where his actual body is? What do you know about this situation? And they're going to start to limp towards Para.
Okay.
5e draws to his feet, moving just slightly closer to Pons and Nerians as his systems come back online. He looks over at Pons, his eyes back to blue LEDs, but the flicker of the purple light reflecting off of his faceplate, and says,
Pons, you have to stop this.
Is everyone okay? I damaged some of the computers. I don't know what all I can access.
Wait,
There's just so much going on right now.
don't stop this. We can use this.
Explain.
The dervish used our memories to reach out to find our people. Maybe we can use this to reach out to find where the dervish really is.
Do we need active brain tissue in order to do that? It would seem that Mr. Business has taken care of that.
All the dervish needed was memories of those associated. Maybe us having seen dervishes' bodies before will be enough.
You'd best start speaking. They're going to shout to Mr. Business and shove a healing serum into Para. Ooh, oh no, he's also hot.
Oh, why is Mr. Business so hot now?
Super hot.
Mr. Business has given me real Timothy Oliphant vibes.
Yes.
Yes.
So they walk into the room and they look at Whisker. Well said. And then they continue walking over towards Pons. The time of decision has arrived, Pons. And from there, they pull out this little container. I believe you have a biological component that may regenerate Nerians, do you not?
I've got a couple things I've collected, and then Pons passes over some of the specimens he's collected, including the troll hide and some of the assortment of fruit that he found along the way as well.
Just dumping on so much stuff on Mr. Business.
Right? Just emptying your pockets.
And he's got the
Call
null
back.
space generator, so who knows what all he's shoved in there.
Yeah, my boombox is in there.
No.
Pull that out.
It's everything you have to show for the tuition money.
Also, Para gets 7 points of healing.
Woohoo.
There are several paths that lay before you, Pons Nerians. Does Nerians live so that others might die, or does this planet deserve another chance at life? And they look over towards Whisker once more. Does knowledge reign supreme? What is left of you, what is left of Nerians, awaits your communication. So rise, Pons Nerians, and face the inevitable.
Excuse me, just who the hell are you now?
As you ask these questions, they seem to look at you in acknowledgement, like they understand you're asking them something. However, they choose not to respond. As they take this troll hide and put it inside the container and close it,
Nerians has to. He has to live. That's my priority. Is there a way we can save him? Do we need to get him out of this containment?
But if he continues to live, he may be creating a conduit through which the universe could be undone.
Well, what if...
How else are we going to be able to track down the dervish if not to use this knowledge that we have in front of us right now?
time grows short, Pons Nerians. Either speak now with Nerians or lose the opportunity.
Finally, something useful from you.
Pons places his hand on the glass and tries to reach out telepathically to Nerians.
Once again, the surreality of a mindscape washes over you. Around you stretches in all directions, fractions of a long life merging in illogical ways, connected and disconnected, fractured and fused, shattered and shifting. In the middle floats Nerians, their form transforming constantly between the different stages of their life. As the world moves like a million disjointed vids at once, you feel their consciousness fall upon you, and everything pauses. Back in the real world, as it becomes clear that Pawns is connecting with Nerians, Mr. Business walks back out the door of this little room and goes to some of the lab equipment and begins working on it.
Whisker's gonna walk up to them. Do you know what is happening with the Dovetail family? We hoped to find something that will cure them and what the Dervish did to them.
They gesture to the lab. In this place, there is indeed the possibility to do so.
Whisker just starts rummaging through everything.
Okay.
Soul is going to slowly drag themselves up, having delivered some healing to Para. And if Para's in really bad shape, that might change Soul. But if Para seems stable. So tell me what Para's up to.
Yeah, I think Para seems stable. I think just they look dried out. Like if you ever seen like an oil spill or something, but it's been in the sun, like their body started to like dry out, and you can see under the oily flesh this green energy. Their eyes are open, they're looking around, but they seem like they're like when you come out from anesthesia. So groggily they're gonna just put like an arm like on Soul and then just like drop it down again.
Does Para have hit point damage?
You can give me a medical check if you'd like.
29.
What was done to them in this dream, it seems their body has reformed in this reality, so they look very damaged.
Okay. But Pan, your character has taken hit point damage, not just stamina.
Yeah, they're like,
Okay. I want to do an overdrive. What I want to do is going to cost me 2 resolve points. I want to give Para a charge of my regenerating nanites.
Nice.
Ooh, interesting.
If Adam approves.
So cool.
I will approve of that.
You get fast healing for 10 rounds. I'm pretty sure it will be fast healing too for you, just like it is for me, because it should be based off your hit dice.
okay. I guess how does 5e like transfer these nanites? Is it a kiss?
Now,
The hard eyes are now canon.
Probably scanning over your corporeal form and finding the part that seems to have taken the most physical damage. 5e lays the digits of his left appendage on that spot, and a stream of nanites reflecting the same myriad of colors that we saw surrounding Parallaxis and the Most Ordained Commander flows out. The nanites take on those colors as they stream over Para's form and try to repair the damage.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
So cool.
Yeah, I think as I was doing that, Para's body, which seems like begins to reform and regain its oily texture, and a couple of tendrils like work their way up 5e's arm, and that kind of thank you motion as Para's form begins to, I don't want to say inflate, but they definitely start to like come back to themselves a bit. Their eyes go from being like quite lidded to wider, and they see 5e like looming over them and say, "I am glad you are safe, 5e."
As am I. Thank you for what you did for us. I fear the consequences.
They are not as bad as being very dead, so I will take those consequences. So, are you well? They eye the sternum, I guess, the sternum soul.
Yeah, quick question, Adam. Do we remember time rewinding?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. In fact, you look up and Soul is silver here as well. The silver hair, the silver tattoos, and they have just this massive... Well, I guess you couldn't really see it because they're wearing their armor. But they will kind of look down at their torso where there is a huge bruise underneath their armor and wince a little and say, "I've had worse. I've been better, but I've had worse." And they will pause a moment, just kind of reflecting on that moment of terror of not just watching 5e get ripped in half, but that horrible moment when Myrani's request, "Promise me you'll come back," was not going to come true. And they squeeze Para's hand very tightly. Will say, "Thank you. I'm going to go keep an eye on this guy. I don't know what's going on. Oh, this is above." And they will reluctantly disengage.
Yeah, probably happily drops her head and goes, "That sounds like a good idea." And when Soul's gone, they turn to 5e and goes, "I think I am getting colorblind. Is Soul change color, or am I..."
There has been a chromatic shift of some sort.
It suits them. I'm going to take a small nap.
On the map, I see that there's a little couch. So Koto, has been silent and is kind of staring off into the corner of the room this entire time. She then begins stirring as if waking up from a bad dream, and goes and just sits on this couch and puts her head into her hands. And that's all she's going to do for now.
Can I very quickly... Soul is walking out and Kodo kind of comes to and walks past. Soul will just put a hand on her arm and just say, "You were right. The dervish wanted this place to fall. I'm sorry." And is going to go loom over Mr. Business.
She doesn't respond at all for the time being.
Seeing that Para is doing better, 5e returns his attention to Pawns and Nerians and moves closer to the containment chamber.
And all that has happened in the outside world is all that's going to happen until what happens inside the mindscape takes place.
I thought you were going to say until next season, and I was going to flip every table.
Me too. I was ready to riot.
What a way to word that.
Do not leave us on that cliffhanger.
Don't worry, we still got more, so we're gonna keep moving, because I got more stuff going. Hans, there you are. I've been waiting.
Have you just been in here this whole time? Is this is really you? You recognize me? Do you know what's going on outside?
All right, so as these responses happen, I have to say that this is essentially the mental equivalent of what's happening. So if I say they raise their eyebrow, you get the impression that that's the case, because this is all an in-mind communication. So Nerians casts about looking at the world around them, and they seem to almost be unable to take in what all is happening. I remember you, yes, and there are pieces. And they look around once again as if they're trying to find a piece of their past to look for.
The dervish has you here. He's taken you prisoner, and this whole city seems to be... It's just in such a mess since last time I was here. What's been going on? I'm not sure if I can help or if everything's just in ruin.
I've never looked out beyond into the rest of the city, for the most part, if I'm being honest. My studies, our studies, they took precedence. Has something gone wrong?
Sorry, there's so many things that I could bring up right there. Nerians, it's a bit of a mess out there. The dervish he's used this technology. He's used your technology for hurting others, for taking over bodies. He trapped you in here. I'm not sure if he's even stoppable at this point. And I don't know what you were able to achieve. I don't know what research he got a hold of. I don't know how to reverse it. And this whole city, it seems like the radiation is just permeating everywhere. And it's people are leaving the city. It's under attack right now. Something's about to change. And I don't want you caught up in this. I wanna get you out of here. But I need to know, how can I stop him?
This dervish you've mentioned, who is this?
Can I see a form of Nerians that I could reach out to physically, even if it's kind of in this dreamscape?
To do what?
I want to kind of use one of the abilities of downloading mass information to give him like a replay of
Interesting.
the moments that I've seen the dervish, and then that moment where I was still being raised in the test tubes or in the cloning tubes, and the vision that I have a memory of seeing Nerians and the dervish speak.
Very good. You get a popsicle for that one.
Yay!
Ooh, hey. So you head towards the Nerians that is centermost. It seems to be the most coherent one. And you reach out and you begin to transfer that vision you had in the test tube when you were flying through this whirling vortex. And they blink back for a moment and then look at you again. Professor Day, yes, of course. The dervish, I hadn't heard such a name.
Yeah, that
Do you know Professor Day?
I don't know what he sold himself as to you, but he's not what he appears as. He's some sort of demon is the best way I could describe it.
As you're saying that, their expression seems to darken a little bit, and then some of the surroundings change, and you see different times in which Dr. Day was in the lab in these fractured moments all around you. Yes, I remember now. And as they say this, it seems like their mind begins to focus a little bit. Yes, I was sent an article from a colleague at the Starfinder Society, which outlined the exploits of Professor Day in regards to an expedition in the vast. A planet with significant ruins of unknown origins had been found, and the writings outlined how the crew was descended upon by a disease in the temple, and the professor, being very capable in magic, had survived. The knowledge he had brought back about this extinct civilization was too enticing, and while the article was 40-something years old, despite my research, I had never come across it, and so I put myself in contact with Professor Day. I brought them here, which was very difficult due to their ailing health, but when he arrived, it was a cornucopia of knowledge, and with it, the idea that a consciousness might be transferred between bodies. It was an innocuous comment, which only stuck with me due to the discovery that I had made in regards to Thasteron. I had been in charge of a research group of miners who had seemed to spontaneously develop telepathy. And I found that unrefined Thasteron act as a duplicator for mental processes. That it was less telepathy and more that the initial thought was being transferred at the same time, creating something like a hive mind. More than that. And this seems to be just like going on this like tangent, like something has clicked and they just are laser focused on this. I saw the potential that under the proper circumstances, it might even accelerate the learning of underdeveloped brains. So I wondered what might happen if these connected brains were hooked up to a body that was vacant of conscious thought. Could multiple bodies be controlled by a single entity? And that's when the professor became fixated on this, insisting on funding research to that end. And as time passed and it was clear that his health was beginning to rapidly decline, he became more insistent, even violent, and the scenery darkens further. So pressured was I had to take shortcuts. The only body that might have been acceptable to him was, well, yours. But that was, in fact, unacceptable to me. And so since I didn't have time to grow a body, I used a volunteer. And their family was excessively compensated. So using this process of infusing unrefined Thasteron, I began to splice Professor Day's genetic sequence into the Akeshti. It was unsuccessful. The body was rejecting the guided mutations, and I went as far as science would allow in such a time crunch. So this is when, and the scene, dark as it is, begins to glow with the same runes that you had seen outside the chamber. When the subject of dark magics came into the conversation, it was where we found an answer, and in doing so, I sold my soul to the devils, metaphorically, I hope. At any rate, the professor was able to leap from a body to a new one, and so our efforts had paid off my research. I was paid generously by the professor, who took the research and his old body and thankfully disappeared into the night. Forgive my metaphorical expression. And as they finish speaking, the scenery begins to fracture apart again, and their mind seems to drift back into nothingness for a moment.
So his original body, that was Dr. Day, and the consciousness has simply drifted and continued to body hop. Is there a way to stop it?
There's a long moment as they look back at you. Oh, Hans, there you are. What were you saying? Was it? And they just look at you again.
Hans hangs up.
So you...
I just connect.
Okay, so you exit out?
Yeah, I'll exit out there.
Okay.
Oh, man.
So as they seem to detach, the world once again fades into darkness as your eyes are open again in the real world. And it's about this point that, Soul, you had been looming over Mr. Business. They seem to put the finishing touches on whatever they're working on, close up the capsule they had once more, and start walking back into the other room.
Does it look like a weapon?
It looks like some sort of syringe.
So Liz grabs their sword, kind of steps between him and the door and holds out a hand, and it's just like, you really need to start answering some questions. You stole the dervish. It seems like you might be on our side. I need to know what you're planning on doing.
So you put this impasse in front of them, and to this point they had essentially not answered any of the questions you had asked.
Yes, quite rude, really.
There will be time for discussion, but this moment is not yours to bear.
You will listen to whatever Pons wants, yes?
This is Pons Nerian's choice.
Sol is going to give them just a very hard look, nod, and step aside and release the sword.
They walk into the room and up to Pons, and they proffer the syringe to you. With this, Pons Nerians, you can restore your creator. However, there are other options. At this stage, Nerians is connected to everyone on the planet who is affected by Thasteron, acting as a magically enhanced amplifier, as he is more than just memories might be transferred. I offer you this additional alternative. If you were to channel a spell through them, everyone connected in this way would be affected. They would not simply be affected, they would inherently learn this spell. An entire planet capable of using this spell, though sparingly. You might suffer the loss of the knowledge of the spell, but it would likely be recoverable.
Sorry. I'm just thinking of my options.
I was too.
It really makes me want to give them Furious Shriek.
Oh God, no!
Oh, the wailing.
What have you done, Adam?
Oh,
More over such exertion would be the final act of Nerians in this state. The choices are laid before you. Make your decision.
So Adam basically used Nerians to try to do something with the city or cure Nerians, right? Those are the two ones that Mr. Business is proposing.
And Whisker had proposed trying to find the Dervish's original through this.
Is there a way to release Nerians from this capsule? That's like, do I just need to press a few buttons, or is there a, what do I do?
Go ahead and give me a medicine check.
It's a 20.
If you attempted to take Nerians out of this container at this moment, the shock would kill them.
I want to heal Nerians, but I am kind of, Pons is at least stuck between what he did and the fact that he basically created the Dervish. Not even really by force, is what it sounds like. And the idea that perhaps Pons could create the conduit himself to the rest of the population instead of Nerians. Pons is going to tell Mr. Business, go ahead and give him the serum.
Their hand remains outstretched to you, and they gesture to a port that would put liquid into the tubes that are connected to Nerians. This is to be done by your hands.
Nerians, Pons immediately grabs it, sticks it in, ejects the serum.
So Pons, as you inject this into the aperture, you see it run through the tubes into the liquid, and you see as it begins to contact Nerians, you see the pulsing green veins begin to retract slowly. And as you're watching this, everyone's comm unit blares into life. As an emergency communication from the second hand opens. Mayday! Mayday! Under assault from unknown forces. Detrimental damage sustained. Impact imminent. And in the background of this, you hear the sounds of fighting and banging and crashing and even a Swarkus roar.
Yeah.
And through this communication, it kind of shocks you guys out of the situation that's happening as you look up and you see through the translucent roof a trail of smoke. There is a ball of fire careening through the skies down towards these buildings. The second hand in a blaze of destruction is plummeting straight towards an adjacent building. You see that at the last moment, it bucks sideways and slams into a building. And even from here, the noise is deafening. The building that the ship slammed into, Pons, you would recognize as the Sky Atrium.
5e would like to make a computers check to see if he can remotely access any signals coming from the ship that show signs of life on board.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
27.
27. You get on the comm and you try to bounce a signal back towards the second hand through the onboard computer, and it does not respond. You are getting no signal from the second hand whatsoever.
5e looks up at Pons and says, "What is the fastest way to that building?"
There's a shuttle a couple doors down. You'll just need to take a left after the second one.
Acknowledged. Thank you.
Sol is going to lock eyes with 5e.
Yep.
Nod.
Why don't you guys go ahead and tell me who all is doing what right here?
I'm going with you.
Sol is going to whip out another serum and just down that. 1 hit point.
Oh no.
Brilliant.
Boo.
I think like Koto sees the destruction and hears it and begins like just again stays planted on this couch, this like defeated look on her face.
That's actually, at that point then, I think Para would have gone up and they would go to Koto. So Koto's like they're looking down their knees or whatever. But I see Para's arm outstretched. Says, "It is not over yet. We will need you."
I think as Whisker, Soul, and 5e are heading out, Whisker's going to yell back at Pond, "You need to find a way to fix what happened to Twisted Feather. We might need it faster than we thought."
And right as we approach where the second hand is, Soul is going to pop what I have been calling their darkness spell until now. It is actually their fiendish gloom from being a tiefling.
Nice.
And so a 10-foot sphere of darkness is going to appear around them just in case there's fire.
Okay. So it appears that Soul, NR5e, and Whisker are leaving.
Split the party!
Yes!
All the tanks. Just
I think it's a
casters get
smart
to have
split.
their own adventure again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Koto has...
Magic People Club.
Right. Well, Koto has a lot of stamina too, so she can be a good guard.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one with stamina in our side.
It's fine, I'm difficult to hit right now.
Para gave me 10 back. It's fine.
As you rush to this building, you find chaos. Fire has erupted from the destroyed second hand, which hangs suspended from a shattered glass roof. Glass and transparent aluminum and scorched plants litter the area. And a burst of gunfire rattles off from above the burning forest. As you see, dropping from the second hand, a small purple blur. Taye falls 30 feet from the wrecked cockpit to the ground, firing the whole way back up at the ship. And you see them hit the ground, and they look shocked for a moment as their eyes close and they list to the side. Then up above, you see the airlock door of the ship, now this twisted metal, fly off the ship as you hear this furious roar where an oversized mechanized Vesk breaks out of the wreckage. You see he's holding 2 objects under his arms, and there's this lanky black figure hanging off the back. And Swarkus jumps down without a beat when a figure with a pinkish hue draws up from behind in an instant, and you see their arm elongate out and snatch my Ronnie out of the air.
No.
And drawing them back up to this wreckage. And Swarkus smashes down onto the ground, and you see that they are in fact holding 2 Ysoki under their arms. And he looks back up and roars, "Skarn!" as Archduke Skarn drags the boy back up until they're face to face. And they speak something meant only for Myrani before one of the hands seems to melt away as 2 metal prongs extrude from the stump, and this electricity begins to arc out. And without hesitation, they drive it into Myrani's chest, and energy courses through them. And without remorse, he drops the boy towards the ground. What do you do? 3.
Running to try and catch
Charge
him.
after
Run directly underneath him.
Okay, all 3 of you move at the same time. So everybody give me an athletics check.
Athletics.
Natural 20 for a 37.
Woo! What a
Dirty
time.
20.
17.
Thematically appropriate, I think.
Absolutely. So 5e, you were witnessing this happen in such quick succession that it was hard to react, but the moment Myrani's body starts falling, you dash straight through the fire and slide over, catch him before he hits the ground as the others arrive right next to you.
Soul pops that darkness so that they are in dim light, so if anyone tries to shoot at Myrani, they're going to have a mischance.
Okay, so in this gloom, as you're looking down at Myrani 5e, you see that all of the runes are glowing this fierce neon blue, but at this moment, they don't seem to be transforming.
Okay. 5e will turn to Soul and say, "Get Myrani back to Nerians' lab. See if there's anything that can be done for him. I will stay with Swarkus. We will eliminate this vermin."
Soul looks like they want to argue.
Is Myrani dying?
Medicine check.
I'll roll it.
I have blind sight life for things that are dying or stable unconscious.
Amazing.
I can
Very
immediately see. I can feel it.
Currently, stable unconscious.
Okay.
What about Twistage and Feather? I'm assuming you would check them too with that.
Yes. So
I mean, why not?
if I sense anyone who is currently in the threat of death.
You look down and sense that my Ronnie is unconscious but stable. Maybe stable's not the correct word with the energy that appears to be coursing through them, but they are unconscious at this moment. And then you look over towards Swarkus holding the two Yosoki, your family, and you scan them as well, and you see that they are both stable and unconscious. But as you look at Swarkus, they begin to make this gurgling sound as you see coming out from their bionic eyes is that same pink hue as the upper torso of a man begins to form with one arm that's drawing back with this electricity. They're poised to strike down this Vesk. What do you do?
Initiate trick attack.
So
Okay.
wait. I need help visualizing.
Yeah,
Yes.
let me give you a visual. So, essentially, when you guys had looked up at the ship, this form had come out of inside the ship from one of the cracks on the hull, right?
Is it kind of like what Pathon was doing with the TV?
Similar.
Okay. And now it's coming out of Swarkus?
Yeah, in this case, they seem to have gone from the ship to Swarkus's eyes and are pouring out from that.
Oh.
They're jumping through technology.
How close am I?
You guys are within 30 feet.
I'm going to attack with my thrown nanite sheath.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I assume I have taken my Ronnie by this point. I have a sidearm that I assume I would have drawn along with my sword because that I would have dropped the sword to take my Ronnie if I have my Ronnie.
Okay, so as NR5E goes to do their trick attack, they shift my Ronnie to you in the expectation that you're going to pick up and run.
So, are we in combat enough for me to align?
Sure.
Okay. So Soul will very quickly align to Photon. They will drop the sword as they catch my Ronnie and just like fire off one shot and start running.
All three of you, go ahead and give me attacks.
Sense better for the trick attack is a 38, so that should affect a CR18 creature.
26 for Whisker.
16 against EAC.
27 against KAC with my sonic repressor rod.
Okay.
Whack-a-mole.
So they pull back this arm as you guys unleash several attacks into them, and they seem to connect, and it hits, and as it hits, these holes that splat out like goop seem to go in different directions, and they look over towards you. And 5e, give me a fortitude save.
12.
12. Okay, so they're there one moment, and then the next, they are no longer on Swarkus. And 5e, you feel a strange weight as they step out of you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is rough.
That's rough, buddy.
Ouch.
They turn with their electric prods drawn back, and then there's a flash of movement from the burning forest, and you see just as they're about to strike, Skarn reels back from an impact, and they fling whatever it was aside as their attacker lands on 4 short legs and rears back, unfurling these large, luminous solar panel wings.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Cargo is a tiny badass!
Oh,
Yes!
And with teeth bared, Cargo lets loose this snarl before opening his mouth wide. And reality seems to warp around their jaws as something begins to charge.
Cool. Yeah.
As Soul is running, they glance back. They see 5e fighting something off, and they will shout back, "Do not leave him!" And they're just gonna book it back to get this kid to Kodo as fast as they can so they can get back to the fight.
Okay.
I want to try and hack Skarn, but I need to get within 5 feet to do it with my machine telepathy.
Okay.
Hack the planet!
The
Turn him into a chicken.
Okay, so you rush in, and you're going to try to hack Skarn.
And what I'm really trying to do is to isolate him. I want to block him off from other technology, if I can.
You rush up towards 5e and Skarn, and you reach out, and you go to grab onto this figure, and before you can even come in contact, they move again. So they were there one moment, they're gone the next. Go ahead, give me an intelligence check, raw intelligence.
21.
So in case people do not remember, since it's been a while, you guys had faced down Archduke Pathon on the God Scythe. There were 2 other Archdukes that you are aware of, Skarn and Espermore. So as you reach in to grab onto this Archduke Whisker, they look up at you, and you can tell they realize what you're about to do. They might have learned what happened to the other Archduke and been wary of this.
They're metagaming.
Metagaming.
They're adapting.
Our reputation precedes us. Does Skarn withdraw? Or is he gone? Like he
Go ahead and give me a perception roll.
17.
You look around to see where they might have jumped. Was it back to Swarkus? Was it to some other technological thing? And you look up and you see once again they're standing on the burning second-hand ship.
We know Swarkus and Taya and Marani got off, so there's really no reason to go back to that ship. Except maybe the toaster.
No, you still have that unless you specifically put it in there.
I don't think I've actually had a chance to
Don't
yet.
remember what happened there.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
I don't remember any specific toaster dropping. We're safe. We're good.
Yeah, we were too busy, like, comforting my Rani and, like, being like, no, you're gonna go, we're gonna go fight, so you didn't have time to put it in the galley.
I think we all should head back to the laboratory if we've scared this thing off. I'll look for cargo, and for all the good it'll do, I'll look for Taya too, but I'm guessing with this perception 17, I probably don't see him either.
Well, you saw where they had fallen before.
You know what's funny? I still have a status spell on Tae, I think.
Oh,
Oh
good.
I'm
gosh.
not mistaken.
Super helpful. Yeah, basically just trying to rouse everyone in the group and say, come on, we have to get moving. Fall back to the lab.
Okay.
We know the way.
As you say that, the gravity in the room begins to shift as air and debris begin to be sucked away, and it becomes clear that cargo is indeed unleashing a breath weapon. A miniature black hole.
What the heck?
Oh, we're so in love.
Where is the dragon aiming its
Cargo
breath
aligns to graviton.
weapon?
You see that their eyes are tracking up towards the second-hand ship as they unleash this empty void which careens towards it. Seeing what's coming, you guys see Skarn vanish once again from their standing spot. And what you see instead is a pinkish hue that is stretching down away from the ship that is now being encompassed by this black hole. It seems to be pulling them back towards it. And then since you asked about it, Richard, you see below them, Tae begins rising up towards the black hole.
Yeah. Wait, no, that's not good.
And you can see that Skarn is trying to jump to Tae's technology.
What tech does Taya have on them that would be affected by this? Can I see what he's trying to manifest in?
You know that they have a cloak which turns them invisible.
All right. I'd like to yell to Taya, drop the cloak, and jump to him, pull him back to the ground, and activate my mag boots.
So you dash forward and you leap up and grab onto Tae and activate your mag boots, which begin to pull you back towards the ground, but this opposite gravity is pulling the other direction. And as Skarn is reaching out towards Tae, it seems that what you said jolts them back awake. And they look around and they look down at you hanging on to them and look back up at this horrible monster who is just screaming towards them and you see them fumble for something as they pull out from their pocket a flyer and hold it up in the face of Skarn.
Yes!
And they look back at you and give a smile, 5e. And as they let go of the paper, which sucks up towards Skarn, from their glove comes a rocket launcher that materializes before them. And they say, "Freedom on Akiton!" as they pull the trigger on their rocket launcher. And an explosion rings out all through the area. 5e, go ahead and give me a fortitude save, please.
Okay. That sucks. Fortitude 13.
The flames rush down over you from this explosion before they are pulled back towards the black hole. And you see flying along them are these pink chunks flying back towards this black hole. And you see the only thing that you're hanging on to now is the burnt and charred cloak where a kobold once was.
No!
And you see the black hole begins to die down as your boots pull you straight down towards the ground and you slam into it, hanging on to this half-destroyed cloak. Up above, the ship is crumpling in on itself into this black hole until it completely disappears inside, and the black hole collapses in on itself. And from that spot, you see a ball of metal fall to the ground. It's about as big as a softball, but the second it hits the ground, it's like two trains hitting each other.
I really liked him.
I just want to make a quick physical science check. This is a natural 20 for a 29, confirming that took out the second hand. Tae is gone. Skarn is gone as far as we can tell. And also with that check, I'd like to know, can I pick up that ball or is that too much mass for me to carry?
So as far as you can tell, due to this black hole, which has sucked away basically all the flames in the area, you see that Tae is nowhere around. You do not at this moment see Skarn either. You see Swarkus still holding these two Yosokis, looking up at where Skarn was only moments ago. And you go over and kneel down and try to pick this ball up, and no matter how hard you try, you cannot lift it.
That's all I need to know.
But as you do, you see Little Dragon Cargo walks over, their mouth smoking, and you see them look down at the ball, kind of look up at you like, "Are you gonna eat this?" And then they bend down, and you see the reality change around their mouth again as they consume the ball that was once the second hand.
No, the second.
Oh my gosh.
They got their horde back.
So awesome.
I was worried about their horde. They got it back.
My stuff!
All your
That's
stuff.
so awesome. All right. 5e looks down at the dragon, then looks over at Swarkus and Whisker, and says, Tae's sacrifice has bought us an opportunity. We should move fast.
Yeah.
And he bolts for the tubes back to the lab.
Okay. So everyone goes back to Nerian's lab. You can see that Soul has made it back.
Soul burst in, carrying my Ronnie, screamed, "Para, Koto, we need you!" Puts my Ronnie down, goes running back out, and almost face plants into 5e.
5e is a little disturbed, but we'll let this happen. They're not disturbed, but surprised.
They're just bam! Face first.
Oh, okay, accidental bonk. Got you.
Full panic
Okay.
of turnaround, let's go, slams in. If did not have bludgeoning resistance, would probably have hit their head in a bad way.
5e stops and says, good. You made excellent time.
Looks around.
The second hand is gone, and so is Tae. I'm sorry.
I rather liked teasing him.
There is another Archduke on the loose, and something is wrong with my Ronnie. I do not understand mysticism well enough to be able to assess what is going on with him.
Shit, right. We'll spin around and go look at those tattoos.
So as all of you begin congregating in this group, looking down at Myrani, trying to get a hold of the situation. Mr. Business steps up to the group. None of this has happened before. In 100,000 iterations, such divergence is all but impossible. This, however, means this universe may be the one where the Xylan finally see defeat. And they reach up and straighten their tie. The many tragedies and horrors of the situation may lay the path for the greatest victory in any universe. Once you have laid your sorrows, and they look around, reading the situation, and friends to rest, I will be waiting. There is much that must be done, and from this point on, and they look over at Soul for a moment, your knowledge of the truth cannot interrupt the flow of events further. You must learn why I sent you to the Metadoza in the first place. So don't miss out on the next volume of the Emergency Power Podcast. We'll see you soon.
Cats in a cradle. Ooh. I am gonna stress eat a brownie now.
I have to have 3 stress beats.
When life drains you down, charge up on the Emergency Power Network. Theme song Triangles by Diamond Ace. Find them at bandcamp.com. Music provided by Nicholas Judy of Dark Fantasy Studio at darkfantasystudio.com and Tabletop Audio. Find them at tabletopaudio.com. As well as Carl Casey of White Bat Audio. Find them at whitebataudio.com. Font Azonix by Mixo. Find them on Twitter at MixoFX. The Starfinder role-playing game, including its official lore and images, are the intellectual property of Paizo Incorporated, all rights reserved. Narrated by Danny Lee Collins.
Okay, sorry, pause. My cat just decided to start scratching at the door.
Is this like a bit?
No.
No.
Then the cat comes in. Welcome back to Emergency Power.
Also, it's from the kitten dimension.
Leslie, I need you to
The
know
kitten dimension.
that I am not just the drink goblin today. I am the 4-drink goblin today.
Yes.
Oh my god, you've leveled up.
Quadruple
Arch goblin.
fisting instead
You've
of
leveled
triple.
up.
I had a triple last time. This is a quadruple.